presenting your host for the Racecoin podcast, Jay.
What's going on, my Racecoin fans? I am here with Stephen Odendaal, a professional Moto2 European Championship winner and a three-time national South African champion. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, what's up?
So you're in you've just made it so far through the entire process, and now you're, racing on the Moto2 European Championship. So how did that journey start off in South Africa? And, it's not exactly the hub of racing, right? So you had to actually get noticed. How did you manage to do all of that?
Well, basically, it was quite a long, it's actually been a very long career, to be honest. Like, I haven't made it quite yet as to where I want to make it, but it's been quite a long road to getting to where I have been, seeing as I've come from South Africa. And, it hasn't been easy at all, especially making the transition from South Africa into Europe has been a really tough thing, because you don't know exactly where to go. You don't know who to speak with, which teams are good, which teams are bad, and to make that transition over is probably one of the most difficult things. So I'm glad I'm in Europe and racing in the Moto2 World Championships. It's a real pleasure for me, and doing what I love. It's a really fantastic thing.
Yeah. So how did you, let's get into that. How did you manage to really find the right path for yourself, and find the right team, and find the right sponsors, and find the right people to work with, and find people that you trust in a place that you have no idea about anything about,
Yeah, well, basically it was a little bit of trial and error. I mean, from being from South Africa, not knowing exactly who to go with and which teams, you've got a lot of people that are trying to mess you over here, like make as much money as they can, steal your sponsors and stuff like that. You have to be really clear with your path that you want to take. And I must admit, we could have cut about 2 or 3 years off of my whole career by knowing the right people, which I could have done better in. I can't go back and take it back, but basically by knowing the right people, it definitely helps a lot to shorten up that period of getting into the European side of things. And it's honestly been a very long road, because I've taken that from South Africa, starting on the smaller bikes, whereas now you've got the kids in Spain starting on really, really small bikes, and they basically brought up to start racing from the age of 5.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, these days. Yeah, exactly. And it's so they start off so young. It's unbelievable. They have obviously a lot more opportunities as well. So for you yourself, like, if you were to do it again, what would you say to people who want to take on this journey? How can they find the right people? Because finding the right people is very arbitrary. It's not very tangible. Someone can't do something about that information, because they would still have to go and find the right people themselves.
Yeah, well, obviously, if I could do it over again and I knew what I knew today, I would definitely start out in Spain, because Spain is the hub of racing. I mean, they have soccer, then they have God, then they have motorcycle racing. So that's like the third biggest thing they've got here. And I mean, they're just so passionate about it. It's almost like one of their school subjects, motorcycle racing, basically.
Yeah.
So I guess when you this side of the world and you're in Spain, you're gonna land up with a decent team to start out with. Anyways, doesn't matter what team you go for, it's still going to be much better footing than if you had to start off from, let's say, South Africa and try to do it the long way around and make it work that way. And I mean, it's obviously quite a nice business opportunity in South Africa to start something up that could be the same sort of level. Because I mean, if you think about the guys that I've come out of from South Africa, they've been really good. Matthew Scholz, Brad Binder, Darren Binder, Sheridan Marias, all of those guys have been up there in front. So
and
this definitely got the potential.
Yeah, of course. And so is this what you're thinking about as a later on in life business opportunity for yourself? Or are you just saying the world needs to fix this problem in South Africa?
Yeah, well, I think South Africa's got a couple of problems at the moment, and I don't think the racing thing would be the
A
biggest
few
one
on the
at the moment.
priority list. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, for sure. Maybe like it would be interesting if a couple of guys want to get together and we can put up something in South Africa that can help the youngsters. I mean, I'm also about giving back to the community, and it would be great in the future. But at the moment, I just have to focus on myself and try get myself to win the Moto2 World title.
So what kind of projects have you worked on for the community so far? Can you share a few of those?
At the moment, I actually haven't really worked on any projects for the community. Well, to be honest, I've just helped out at track days, track days at South Africa. Like I would give some people some tips where I can and give them some advice, nothing formal. I do know that a couple of guys um, do track days with people for money, but I've just, all my efforts have just been free. I've just been helping out people and giving them advice where I can, just because I believe it's the correct thing to do.
No, I think that's great. And I don't think it's necessarily about a grand gesture or a huge donation or some kind of huge project foundation that you've done. It's just some things can just be very small, that are given everywhere. Time to time, you're just sprinkling the knowledge that you have everywhere, and that I'm sure makes a difference to other people's lives in a way that someone doing one-off grand gestures may not, sort of thing, right? So it's never really about that. But I find that it's you've obviously joined this pretty young, right? I mean, it's not like you're on your 30s 40s when you first started. So how did you first get into racing? How did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, basically in South Africa back in the day, they used to have like a derby class where they were giving free trials at the racetrack, and my dad actually used to ride at the track days, and he asked me if I want to try it out. So I told him, I actually would really like to try it out. I was young, wanted to try what he was trying, and
Mm.
I mean, I have a history of a bit of motocross background, but for me, it was just a little bit too rough, the sport, especially in South Africa, where there was a lot of abuse between parents and motocross. Like they used to get very physical with their kids, and my parents didn't really enjoy that. So basically, when I did try it out, I honestly fell in love with it from the very beginning. How clean the sport is, how I mean, I've just got petrol running through my veins. I think it was just love at first sight.
Petrol running
I
through my
was,
veins, like it.
yeah, it was. I knew from a very young age that I really enjoyed it, and I was grateful enough, well, lucky enough to have the opportunity to get to try out motorcycle racing, and very lucky to continue my dream with it.
Yeah, of course. And when you first started off, was it more about kind of doing it for yourself? Were you more proud of doing and winning the races for yourself? Were you more proud of winning it for your family name, like seeing the look on your dad's face, or was it more about representing your country and the national pride that you have? Like, where does it all kind of fit into? What are you most proud to represent?
Yeah, well, I guess it's like I could probably say all three of those things that you've mentioned. I mean, when I was first starting out, I was more in it for myself to see what I could achieve myself. But as I got into the bigger fields, like into the world scene or Spain, I definitely wanted to represent my family name and as well as my country, because it's something to be proud of, and also to represent your country and to have the backing behind from all the South Africans is fantastic. So I guess it's all three of those in one.
Yeah, I can imagine it's just a nice little mixture of all three. And you've now obviously represented your country and then won races, right? What is that like? What is the feeling that you get when you are on the podium and you're winning, and that you're just about to cross the finish line, and then after as well?
I mean, it is a fantastic feeling. It's really hard to describe, because all the hard effort, all the dreams that you set, all the goals that you've set, you just achieve it, and just makes everything, all those hard days in the gym and on a bicycle training, all just makes it worth it, and it's such a nice feeling. It's just like a drug, basically. It is a drug. It's very addictive. That feeling of winning and being the number one it's a really incredible feeling.
What did it take? Like, take us through a little bit of your journey about how you managed to become someone who almost deserved, right, to win a race.
I mean, it takes a lot of focus, dedication, and precision. I mean, you have to be so precise at the circuits, to be on every single apex, to be so dedicated to your diet, your training, and also you can't be too crazy. Like you can't go out and party too much. You have to find a balance in your life where you give the right amount of effort and right amount of time to the things that matter in life that you want to achieve. And that was the biggest thing for me. I made sure that I kept my family happy. I kept my fitness levels on an extremely high level, and I made sure that I was running at 100% of my possibility and my capabilities.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that is it's very hard, right? Like, that's almost it's it's almost like a huge pressure that you have to take on yourself, as well as the fact that there's the entire almost roboticness to it, because you have to stick to a bit of a schedule. You have to stick to, certain types of training regimes that you have to do on a weekly basis. So when it comes to those hard times where you've been doing it for so many weeks in a row and you're just like, "Oh, I really just want a day off or a week off," like, how do you deal with that?
yeah, I think you have to like change it up a little bit. You can't always do the same thing every day, and that helps a lot, because if you really don't feel like getting on that bicycle, I mean, there's always something like you can just go for a run rather, but it's also very strict. Like you say, I follow quite a hard training program with intervals, and you have to keep pushing hard, but it's just, you have to be I'm very good at motivating myself, and to keep focused on what I want. And I think it's not for everyone. You have to be very focused and disciplined.
Yeah, I mean, those are key traits in any field to be successful, for sure. And, at the same time, unlike other fields, there is the risk of injury, right? Which you've faced yourself. So you've had a recent foot injury. What has that done to your kind of mental state in terms of how you would like to deal with the next race? Like, does it affect the way you want to race? Does it affect your kind of viewpoint on how you would like to change something, or does it just inspire you more and you just want to get back on the track as quickly as possible? Like, what goes through your head when you realize you're injured, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, so like you said, it's been a very serious injury for me, and it really isn't as simple as people think. Being out of training, being out of the you lose your touch on the bike. Not that you can lose your talent, but you lose your touch in terms of not being on form 100% the way you want to be. And basically, this injury has been a really difficult for me to deal with, because it's not as simple as having a broken bone where you can pin it and in 2 weeks you're on the mend and you're ready to go again, maybe at 70%. Where this injury that I've sustained has taken 3 months, and I have to go for another operation, which is just news that I received today, to finally fix this whole problem that I've incurred. And like, it's really hard mentally to deal with this whole thing, because it's all about motivation. But I guess it's quite good, because now being out for so long,
I've never been so happy to be back, or wanting to get back on a
Excited to
motorbike
see you back. Yeah.
and a bicycle, or in the gym. I've been so excited just to get back, and it's like when you've lost something and bring it back again, you just extra motivated. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like, like things that we take for almost granted, in a sense that whether it's a relationship, whether that's your health, whether that's, things that you have in your life that are just things that you spend time on, or you take for granted. And when it goes away, you realize how much you want it and how much it meant to you. And it's almost like by having this time off, you're able to then come back and realize that this is what you really, really want to do in life. But in the meantime, while you are in this stage, how do you kind of redirect that energy that you've been using, um, that which was for training and which was for everything else in terms of the racing? How do you redirect it to still stay positive? Like, what do you do to manage your state during these times?
So basically, what happens is, obviously being off my feet is quite a important, well, quite a difficult thing for me to accept. And there's only one other thing I can do, and that's work on my mental strength. So I've been going to psychologists. I've been reading books, trying to find myself in a situation where I can give myself the most positive, try to give myself the best chance that I can mentally, and come back as strong as I can mentally, so that when I am able to get back on the bike, really, really mentally strong, which in the past I haven't been as strong as I would like to be. So focusing mentally has really, really is a benefit for me now. Like, I realized how much I was missing it in the past, how necessary it is, especially in this game, to be mentally strong. And it's just given me that time to realize that I can improve on this side of things, and give it a lot more in terms of the mental effort that I have been giving.
How does one develop mentally? I mean, you've had a few months where you've done, you mentioned a few things, but can you share some, one or two things that people who are listening to this podcast and say, hey, look, this is what I can do and implement in my life in the same sort of, because I'm facing a similar struggle, right, to Stephen?
Yeah. So, well, basically obviously you go through stages. You go through stages of negativity, and you need to always keep a positive outlook on the things that you have. I mean, it's really, I find it very interesting to read about different life experiences and different people's careers and how it played out, and learn from there, as well as also just being very positive. And I'm reading this book called 1 Second Ahead,
Mm-hmm.
and it teaches you how to just um, think basically before you speak, and it lines you up. It puts you in a better situation, and how you should focus, actually being truly focused to when you speak to people, and how much more information you can give if you really are focused, instead of giving them your half-hearted chat. And you could probably get a lot more done in the less amount of time by giving someone your full focus. And I can relate with it so much in the racing, because when you come in from a session and you're speaking with your technical director, or not director, but technical guy, and he's asking for information, and if you're giving him your 100% focus, and you giving him more information that's more direct, and that just benefits you, because the changes that he'll make to your bike will be 100% more accurate than giving him something where you're more worried about the time or what position you're in, and you're like, yeah, the bike's this, like, not doing so great on the rear, but it's not really a full efforted or full thoughted
Breakdown of what really can change the next time. I understand what you mean. And I think it's one of these things that hindsight is has 20/20 vision, right? It's a kind of a bit of a quote where you always see everything perfectly when you look behind and in the past. So I guess it's going to change the way you drive in the future. Do you think it will have any sort of negative impact in terms of your hesitation towards if I crash again, or is this something that doesn't even occur to you and you realize it's just part of the game and you just kind of roll with it?
Yeah, I think being in my type of sport, like I've had a lot of injuries and I've been very good at the ability to just brush it off and not really think about it so much, you know. I was at the official IRTSA test in February, and I had probably one of the biggest crashes I could have had again with my injury, but luckily I was okay, you know. But it wasn't. The next day I went out and I set my best time I've ever set around the Jerez circuit. So it's, you know, it's just mentally you have to be strong, and also I think it's a type of person that can just brush things off like this. In this type of game, you have to be able to just put some things behind you and not think about it.
Yeah, of course. So this is the on track, right? Now, off track, congratulations on recently getting married. How has that side of life been for you? How has that changed the way you drive or affected the way you are as a person and your drive, your motivation? How does it all kind of mix into life off and on the track?
Yeah, well, luckily my wife's very supportive. So to be honest, I met her at the racing, so she's very supportive, and she's also she loves what I do. So to be honest, nothing much has changed. I'm married now. I wear a ring around my finger, and I don't get so many girls talking to me at the gym. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, and nothing much has changed.
The truth comes out little by little. It's coming out.
Yeah. No, not much has changed. I mean, I'm really happy. I'm happily married, and yeah, I'm just carrying on with my job and focusing on what I really need to focus on.
Fair enough. And I feel like the fans also is another aspect of driving. You know, it's their support, it's them cheering you on that really inspires you to do more. How has their appreciation for your driving, for the sport, influenced the way you want to drive and the way you do drive?
Well, look, obviously with the support of all the fans, you're always there to give your 100%. It motivates me a lot to have all my fans there at the track. And I mean, it really does give you motivation to just put in that little bit extra effort when you really it really gets tough. You know, the times get tough. And I mean, the gestures that some fans have given me, like these picture frames and like clay models of my bike, me on my bike. It's just, it's a fantastic thing to have, and it's really motivating to have people out there that support the sport so much. And yeah, really, it is a fantastic thing to have fan support and people behind you backing you.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, so what message would you like to leave the fans that are listening to this podcast? And what would you like to share just as a closing message to them about your journey and what they mean to you?
Well, just for all the fans out there, thank you very much for all your support. I mean, without you guys, the sport wouldn't be where it is at today. And just believe that anything you can do and put your mind to, you can achieve. And just being having you guys around really makes my life a better place to be, and makes me stronger and work just that much harder.
On that note, I'm going to close it off. I think that was a great message. Thank you very much for your time, Stephen. And it was a pleasure having you on the RaceCoin podcast.
Oh, thanks very much. Thanks for the interview. I appreciate it, and have a lekker day.